Hello from Antarctica. We are on day 3 of our experience here in Antarctica on Holland America's Oosterdam ship, and it has been unbelievable. I can tell you what it's been like, but the best thing for me is to show you what it's been like. We have seen penguins, whales, glaciers, ice floes, penguins on ice floes. We have seen penguin colonies. We have been on water that is still as glass, where we've been able to just see reflections. We have seen so much ice, and it has been remarkable. So thank you for joining me. Let's talk about it. You're watching Cruising with Dee. Excuse the hat, but I am dressed in case out this window I see some penguins going by on an ice floe or a whale. I am going to be jumping right out there. So I have a thermal on, my hat, so I can get right out on my balcony and see what's out there. We are now in a more open part of the sea, which is why it's a good time for me to tape this for you. We are between Charlotte's Bay and Deception Island, which is where we're headed about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I am still doing my daily 2 and 3 day series of vlogs from the ship, but I wanted to have a special Antarctica edition. We have not had great internet, even though we have Starlink here. We did get a notice saying that it's still going to be a little spotty, and it has been. So these may all get uploaded after the trip, but I wanted to get you all the information and to show you what's going on in real time while I am here on Holland America Oosterdam. This is our 3rd day, as I mentioned. And we have gone to various bays and to various stations. Captain has had to change course a couple of times because everything here is dependent on the ice and where he can go navigationally as well as the weather. We had one doozy of a storm that prevented us from getting through to Lamar Channel. The captain sheltered us that night in a good spot of open water. Even though there was some up and down and battering of the ship, it was minimal. We all got a good night's sleep. But we have had to change course on the dime. We've still seen incredible things. First thing to know is where you are on the ship to see things is like really important. And I will give you kind of a rundown of where you can go. There are 1,800+ passengers on this ship. And even though it's a large ship, there are only so many places where you get a great outdoor view. So of course, the best place, in my opinion, to be is on the bow of the ship because you can get to either side and you get a front view of what's going on, which you sometimes absolutely need depending on where the captain is able to go. I've been out there a lot, and there's a bit of a hierarchy of how many people are going to be out there. If it's kind of bad weather, fewer people. So I've been able to be out there with less than 10 people when it's really raining and snowing and really windy. And I have brought great clothing, which I'll run down for you in a future video. So I've been warm and able to stay out there much longer than other people, which has been a great help for me. If there's less of a weather, more people come out. If on the bow channel where we can hear the narration, if someone comes on and said there's whales, more people come out. And if anyone mentions penguins, it is like penguin mosh pit. Like we went to Cuverville Island to see the penguin colony. I swear it was 10 people deep. But, people have been kind, and so if someone's got up on the rail and you say, I'd like to get in for some photos, almost everyone has done that. And I'm short, so I really do need to get up to that rail or I don't see anything. Besides the bow, the captain usually opens 5, 6, and 7. There's some forward viewing areas there. And this is an image from up there, what that's like. And here's another image up from the bow to show you where that is. There are signs that say open when they're open, but they've been great about announcements. Besides that, the promenade on 3 is a great place to see things. You can't see front on, but you can switch going through doors or through the front of the ship from port to starboard, and that can be really important depending on where the wildlife or where the scenic cruising is at. My balcony has been fantastic. We are on a starboard balcony, and I have seen, the best thing I saw, that I have to talk about now, is I was in my room on the other side of the bed. My husband, who has a terrible cold, was resting. I thought what I saw was like a bunch of penguins on an ice floe, jumped over the bed, got my camera, ran outside, and indeed, it was the most amazing thing. It was about 12 penguins on an ice floe. I got some amazing images with my Nikon. Video was a little harder because, just the distance to see the penguins, and it was amazing. I saw a couple of other penguins go by on an ice floe, and I saw whales that afternoon, and that was all from my balcony after I had been out on the bow and very cold for a little bit of time. Another place you can go, and this is a place where if you are more frail health-wise, you just can't take the cold or you didn't bring the right clothes, there's scenic narration happens up in the crow's nest, and that's indoors, but you get a great 180-degree view of what's going on. And I have not gone up there. I'm leaving that to people who really need to be inside. You're not going to get the front views like when we were at the penguin colony or at Palmer Station as you were going to get from the bow, but the back of the ship, it's a wonderful place to see just to see things from the sea view pool, which is outdoors, and again, you get a really nice view and less wind back there. So I've been up there a couple times. Also a spot right outside the crow's nest, you go up on 10, and there's some great viewing areas. Like right now the cabanas are closed, and you can go up there, and there's a couple of places where you can see pretty well. So that's just a little rundown, because I'm sure you're thinking, well, if I take this cruise, can I see anything? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can see everything. You just have to know where to go. I love scenic beauty. Scenic and landscape photography has been my true love in photography for many years. And I thought Alaska was off the rank and charts as far as beauty. I've been to New Zealand. I've been a lot of places that are gorgeous. But wow, Antarctica is a feast for the eyes and the senses. It is unlike any place I have been on Earth, and I'm so glad to be here that I've had this opportunity. There's nothing like being out on your balcony or the bow on a quiet morning where you can't hear, there's no sound. All you hear, maybe a little bit of ice, but usually not even that. It is still and silence. You see the ice floating by, the mist lifting off the mountains in the distance, and you know that you are truly in a very, very special place. Besides the incredible scenic beauty, there have been wildlife. And yes, there have been birds, and I have enjoyed the birds. Whales, and I have actually had better whale viewing in Alaska, but that's just happenstance. I guess there was a place where there were tons of humpback whales feeding last time. That's Charlotte Bay. We were there this morning, and for whatever reason, no whales. Like, just I was out there an hour and a half, did not see one whale. So things change, and you never know. Happenstance like those penguins going by on the ice floes. You just have to be looking out and just be outside as much as you can. Like the captain and Graham, the Antarctic expedition leader, talks about that. And they're right. Like the more you're outside, the more you're going to see. You can always enjoy the inside of the ship for the rest of the 22 days. We have a great Antarctic expedition team. We have had lectures on history, including Shackleton's voyage, which I'm fascinated about. I'm in the middle of that book right now, Endurance. You have someone who is an expert on geology. We have a biologist. Just so many interesting things. I will admit with my ADHD that I have not been listening to the lectures quite as well as I was before we got to Antarctica, because I am very distracted, but we are able to get them in the rooms now live, and that has helped because there was so much crowding in the theater, and I can look out my window while listening, or at least trying to listen. So that has been very, very much appreciated that Holland America was able to arrange that for us. We have seen several other ships, including the Scenic Eclipse 2, which is, I guess, like more of a expedition ship in some of the places that we have been. I think anyone on the ship will agree the most amazing thing we've seen is the Gentoo penguin colony, which is on Cuverville Island. And it is like roughly 20,000 penguins, and it's the biggest colony of Gentoo penguins in the world. And wow, did we see penguins on every rock, in the water, in the snow. When you look at some of my images, I shot 20 megapixels with my Nikon so I could blow things up. It's a little bit like Where's Waldo? Like you've got penguins sitting over here, diving into the water over there. Penguins just everywhere, and it's incredible to be there. Oh, by the way, you know, people say, "Oh, you really haven't been to Antarctica if you haven't stepped on it." Well, the scent from the penguins on our ship says otherwise. Wow, those guys have a smell. Quite fishy and quite unique, but it was definitely part of the experience every time the wind blew our way. That was the hardest to get images of course, because people, as I mentioned, like everybody wants to see the penguins. But people were great, and I had like really no problem. I was able to get up there and to see the penguins pretty easily. I mean, I would have liked to just sat there and stared at them the whole time, but I got enough images and got to watch the colony enough that I did feel satisfied. Oh, and kudos to the captain for getting us so close to the penguin colony. It was extremely well done and very much appreciated. The shipping experience itself continues to be wonderful. I'm going to talk about that more in my vlogs where I go kind of sequentially through this trip. I hope you get to see this while I'm still on the ship. As I said, the internet has been extremely in and out because of where we are. I'll definitely try to upload this in South America, but if not, I wanted to be in the moment and just tell you, like, this is it. I am in Antarctica, and it's amazing. Captain, excuse me.
Day 3 of our Antarctica experience. I hope you enjoyed Charlotte Bay this morning with beautiful weather conditions. Currently, the Oosterdam is crossing the Ville.
All right, so that was our captain's update. He comes on about noon every day with updates for navigation, ice, where we're going to be able to go. Originally, we were scheduled for Deception Island at 4 p.m., but due to speed we have to go to stay clear of ice, we will not be there until 7:30 tonight. So I'm going to try to plan dinner accordingly. I don't want to be eating dinner when we get there, and I don't know if I'm going to have this in the video, but he mentioned that this is an active volcano, a caldera like Santorini. We can't get in the middle of it, but it is something that I do want to see. A couple of other things, weather. So weather here has been pretty steadily between 28 and 34 degrees. We've had some sleet, we've had some snow, a little bit of rain. The wind's the factor. If it's not windy like this morning in Charlotte Bay, it's very comfortable. I mean, I still have like a heavy coat and my hat and everything on, but I don't have to have my hood up. I don't have to have my gloves on. So it's beautiful. If it is windy, I am bundled up to the 9/10. I've got my thermals on, I have double socks, I have my hood up, and I have 2 varieties of gloves that I use to try to enable me to be able to take photos of what I'm seeing, because when you have gloves on, at least with your phone, video, it just will not work. Another thing about the weather, at least for this trip, is that it has been very gray. It has been very cloudy almost the entire trip, a little bit of rays of sun peek through occasionally, but the colors of the trip, all my photography, it's gray, white, and black. I understand that's very common here. You might get lucky. I know the cruise before us had a lot more sunlight than we've had, but it's just something to be aware of. It is still very beautiful, but if you want blue sky and blue water, unless you're photoshopping heavily, you are not going to get that into your photos when you have weather like we have had. And that weather includes a lot of mist, a lot of fog, low clouds that do generally clear kind of mid-morning, at least, so you can see the top of the mountains, but then they come back late in the afternoon. That's the weather in Antarctica, and it's just part of the experience, and I am enjoying it. Wouldn't mind a little bit more sun for my photography, though. Another update, my husband, who you might be able to hear him snoring, poor thing, he got sick, and so on this particular cruise, a lot of people have got like the cruise cold. The good news is it's not COVID, and it's not a terrible cold. It's really just a stuffy nose, but a lot of people have got it, including my husband. And there's a bit of like a cough and sneezing. Unfortunately for him, if you remember back to one of the earlier vlogs, in Santiago, he fell down some stairs and he like cracked a rib. And so when he coughs or sneezes, it really hurts. So he's kind of been in a bad way for most of Antarctica. He has got to enjoy it. He stayed in the room quite a bit, trying not to get other people sick, which is wonderful. Somehow, and I don't know how because I catch everything, terrible immune system, but I have not caught the cold at all. I am really, really grateful for that. And he's getting better. So today he's definitely on the upswing again. And I think that's it. I think you're caught up. I will go through more of a vlog style of what we've done in each day with my next vlog installment. I think on the vlogs where I last left you was Cape Horn. And then we have, after Deception Island, we have Elephant Island tomorrow. And then we head towards the Falkland Islands, where at least right now, it looks kind of choppy. It's got a lot of wind and wave action on the forecast. It can change on a dime in this area of the world. So I'm a little worried about whether we'll make it to Falkland Islands. It's a 50-50 shot, I understand, given the weather in that part of the world. But keep fingers crossed, because I do have an excursion to go out and see the king penguins. That's it for now. This is my Antarctica update. Again, having the time of my life. Holland America is doing a great, great job with this. I am so glad that I have taken this trip. Please subscribe subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have so many great updates from this cruise trip coming up for you. I have 2 other trips already lined up, including on the Carnival Jubilee. So I do everything from adventure cruising to fun in the sun, and I love taking you along and giving you all of the information I can about cruising. While you're at it, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to know when I have fresh content up, hit the notification bell as well. Thank you for joining me. You've been watching Cruising with Dee.